Garrick leaned back in his leather chair and laughed so loudly that the sound bounced across the glass office walls. 10%, he mocked. After 12 years, you think you deserve that much? Ivy Reeves stood still beside his desk, clutching a thick portfolio filled with reports, charts, and years of success. Inside those pages were sleepless nights, sacrificed weekends, and systems that had saved the company millions. The delivery system I designed reduced shipping delays by half, Ivy said quietly while trying to stay calm. But Garrick waved his hand carelessly, as if her hard work meant absolutely nothing to him. Before this story moves further, please subscribe and share our channel because we make stories videos for you. Stay connected with our channel and keep watching more powerful and emotional stories like this one. Garrick smirked and leaned back in his chair with the confidence of a man who believed nobody could challenge him. Everyone is replaceable, he said coldly. Even someone like you. Those words shattered something deep inside Ivy that years of stress had already weakened. For 12 years, she had remained loyal, believing hard work would eventually bring respect and recognition. Ivy was 34 years old and one of the best supply chain algorithm specialists in the industry. Yet, despite her talent, she still sat in a small cubicle, while managers with less experience enjoyed luxury offices. As she returned to her desk, an email notification appeared on her computer screen. The company newsletter praised Garrick for a logistics breakthrough that Ivy herself had secretly created. She stared at the article in silence while anger slowly replaced the disappointment in her chest. Her hands tightened around a cold coffee cup that had been sitting untouched beside her keyboard for hours. Near her monitor sat a framed picture of her parents, who had always taught her the value of loyalty. Her father spent decades at one factory only to lose everything when the company suddenly shut down. Ivy opened a leather notebook hidden inside her desk drawer and slowly flipped through its worn pages. Each page contained personal projects, private ideas, and algorithms she had developed at home on her own time. One project caught her attention immediately because it had become the core of the company's delivery system. At the top of the page, she had clearly written personal project, predictive distribution modeling. Suddenly, Ivy realized something important that the company had completely overlooked for years. She had never legally transferred ownership of those personal innovations to Porter Logistics. Her heartbeat quickened as she picked up her phone and searched for an old contact named Hayden Brooks. He was the operations director at Radius Shipping, Porter's biggest competitor in the market. Hayden had tried to recruit her several times before, but Ivy had always rejected the offers out of loyalty. This time, however, Garrick's laughter echoed loudly in her mind as she pressed the call button. Ivy Reeves, Hayden answered with surprise and excitement in his voice. I was beginning to think you'd never call me. That same evening, Ivy met Hayden at an expensive restaurant filled with executives and investors. For the first time in years, someone listened to her ideas with genuine respect and admiration. Hayden explained how Radius had studied Porter's sudden rise in efficiency over the last few years. He said it was obvious that someone brilliant was working behind the scenes while Garrick took the credit publicly. Ivy finally admitted that she was the person responsible for those revolutionary systems and algorithms. Hayden smiled immediately because he had suspected the truth for a very long time. He offered her triple her current salary along with stock options and leadership over her own department. More importantly, he promised that her work would finally carry her own name instead of someone else's. Ivy placed her leather notebook carefully on the table and explained the ownership situation honestly. Hayden listened carefully before nodding with clear understanding and growing excitement. Radius respects innovation, Hayden told her seriously while leaning slightly closer across the table. If those systems belong to you legally, we will compensate you fairly for every single one. 2 weeks later, Ivy calmly placed her resignation letter on Garrick's polished wooden desk. For the first time, the confident CEO looked genuinely nervous instead of arrogant and untouchable. When Garrick learned she was joining Radius Shipping, the color slowly drained from his face. He suddenly offered the raise Ivy had requested earlier, but now his offer came far too late. Ivy smiled politely while refusing his desperate attempt to keep her at the company. The new offer includes respect, she said quietly. That matters more than money. During her final weeks, Ivy carefully gathered every document proving her personal ownership of the algorithms. She also copied emails showing Garrick had ignored her earlier requests about official acquisition rights. On her final day, Porter's legal advisor tried forcing her to sign new non-compete agreements immediately, but Ivy refused calmly and presented detailed proof that the company never owned her private innovations. The legal advisor's face turned pale as he flipped through the notebook filled with dated evidence. Only then did Porter finally realize how deeply their entire operation depended on Ivy's personal systems. Monday morning arrived, and Ivy walked confidently into her new office at Radius Shipping Solutions. Instead of a cubicle hidden in a corner, she now had her own team and leadership position. Within weeks, Radius implemented Ivy's algorithms and achieved results even better than before. Delivery times dropped dramatically, while operating costs fell lower than industry experts believed possible. Soon, Eastwood, Porter's biggest client, announced it was ending its contract and moving to Radius instead. The news sent shockwaves through the industry and caused Porter's stock price to collapse rapidly. Garrick began calling Ivy repeatedly, offering consulting deals and massive compensation packages out of desperation. But Ivy ignored every voicemail because she finally understood her true value for the first time. Porter eventually sued Ivy for intellectual property theft, hoping to destroy her growing reputation publicly. However, the court dismissed the case after her detailed records proved the systems legally belonged to her. As Porter's collapse continued, hundreds of employees sadly lost jobs because of Garrick's terrible leadership decisions. Although Ivy succeeded professionally, she still carried guilt for innocent workers caught in the company's downfall. To help those affected, Ivy launched a hiring initiative through Radius for former Porter employees everywhere. Many talented workers received second chances, fair salaries, and respect they had never experienced before. Years later, Ivy stood on a stage accepting an Industry Innovation Award while cameras flashed brightly around her. Looking at the crowd, she smiled proudly because she had finally learned one powerful truth. Nobody else decides your worth except you.